Hey, happy Friday, and back to our man. These weeks are flying by so fast, but back to our weekly me and Andrew's 100 million producer podcast, video cast, whatever you want to call this thing. And how's it going, Andrew?
It's going awesome. I was just looking. This is episode number 13 already.
Wow,
I know.
amazing.
It seems like we've done like 5 of these, and we're 13 of these deep already.
Yeah, it's amazing, really amazing. I swear, I can't believe we're like what midway through May already. It's like mind-boggling. Like when you're busy and you're growing and you're just being productive, time flies. So, I love being productive, but at my age, maybe I need to be unproductive because, man, I'm getting old fast.
I know it's time definitely is just, I don't know. It's faster than it's ever been. It's crazy, but yeah, stupid busy. Got a bunch of loans coming in, got a bunch of buyers out there, a bunch of pre-approvals, but then, team growth and company growth and travel and travel and travel. That's probably the most difficult thing about doing the $100 million producer on a weekly basis is Todd and I travel in innate amounts each. And sometimes he'll be gone one week, I'll be gone. And then there's weeks we're both gone. So it's fun, man.
Yeah, no, it is. And like, yeah, in a couple of weeks, I mean, we were both going to be in South Dakota, but now you're in Miami. I'm in South Dakota. We're like opposite ends of the world almost from each other. But hey, it's what it takes to grow and be successful, and that kind of goes into what my first subject is going to be. And by the way, me and Andrew never speak before these, so he has no idea what I'm about to say. Other than nice shirt. But no, showing up. I know it's a grind who likes to walk through airports, TSA, even if you got TSA pre-check and clear like me, it's still pain in the backside, parking, traffic. Who likes that? But showing up at events and being there in person and present, there's nothing that compares to that. We can do Zoom meetings with 20 team members. We can do Zoom meetings with just 2 and give a lot of attention to even 1 or 2 people. Nothing compares to that face-to-face handshake interaction, showing people that you care, showing people that you will put your life on pause to create a winning atmosphere for them. And that's why Andrew's traveling, I'm traveling. And I just think there's no comparison to that.
No, there's not. And, for me, like even, on my personal team side, I'm building a team that's in multiple metros, in Florida and outside of Florida. And so, not only traveling to attend events and traveling to be at corporate and traveling to be at masterminds and this and that for personal growth, for business growth, but then being present with my team and always being, trip to Jacksonville really quick to go have dinner with the team there, and then down in Fort Lauderdale for this. And then, it's a lot of work, but being present, it's funny because I only thought of really one thing that I was going to be like, a topic I want to hit today. And it ties right into is personal accountability.
Yeah.
Like it is so much easier. It would be so much easier to be like, I'm just going to let someone run that meeting and I'm going to spend the weekend here and chill. And yes, there are weekends I take a weekend and spend it with the family. But at the same time, I have such a high level of personal accountability. I won't let other people do what I should be doing. If I'm the one who's supposed to do it, I'm going to be the one that steps up and does it, even if it's at my own detriment.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm a big, like, wasting time is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I feel like, well, like I said, I feel like I'm getting older quickly. So time is the one thing I can't buy, and so every minute of every day needs to count. And, I drive my poor wife crazy because she's like, why don't we just do nothing today on a Sunday? She goes, you don't have anything going on. Let's just do nothing. I'm like, I can't do nothing, like I'll go to my office and work, or let's go out and do something. But just sitting on the couch doing nothing to me just drives me nuts. But I don't know if you saw the video I posted last night. It was an internal thing. So if you're not at UMortgage, you wouldn't have seen it. But I posted a video yesterday. The content doesn't really matter. It was about rate locks and stuff like that. But I posted the video and recorded it from my car. And I don't usually do that. I'm not a big card recording guy. It drives me nuts when people do it from the car. You see all the background going by and everything. But the reason why I did it was because I woke up yesterday morning and I had no internet. I'm in a newer construction. They're still building like crazy in my neighborhood. And they did something to the Cox cable line where we had no internet. And I live in this canyon, basically. It's a canyon. And my cell phone, I get like one bar on it down here. I can make phone calls and talk to people, but to load Facebook or load emails or anything, like I couldn't watch this on my phone without Wi-Fi. So I spent a day yesterday at Starbucks to begin with, and then in my car sitting at the top of our canyon at this resort called the Adero, because when you get out of the canyon, you actually have good service. So I worked 75% of my day yesterday, either at Starbucks or in my car. Now, did I have to do that? No, nobody, if, first of all, nobody would have known if I was working or not, because I'm not in an office. But it was the point is like holding myself accountable, it's not always the easiest thing you do, but it's what you must do. So I had to get my to-do list done yesterday, and that meant sitting in a car in a parking lot up the street in 100-degree weather. I mean, the air conditioning was running, but still, it was a pain in the butt, but it was holding myself accountable instead of saying, you know what, the day's wasted. I'm not going to do it. I'll get to it tomorrow. No, I didn't do it. I held myself accountable. And that's what, we have to overcome the little adversities that set us back. That's the winners in this business, the guys and the girls that say, okay, that's a speed bump. It's not a roadblock. I'm just going to drive over it or through it and make it happen. And that was my day yesterday.
I've had multiple of those days, and I'm just I'll make this a really kind of a nasty statement to small producing loan officers. I'm gonna call it out as I see it. If you're doing 1-2 loans a month and you can't break out of that cycle, you need to look at your personal accountability.
Yeah.
And just being honest, because what are you actually doing with your time? Because if you're doing 1 loan a month, that means you're running a pipeline of 2. That pipeline management should take you no more than about 30 minutes a day. So if you're working 8 hours a day, what are you doing with your other 7 hours and 30 minutes? Are you playing some Xbox? Are you wallowing in your own mire that you don't have more business? Are you analysis paralysis? Because I guarantee you, math just doesn't lie, okay? If you picked the phone up, if you've got a pipeline of 1 to 2 loans a month, every month, and that's where you're at, and you can't break the cycle, if you picked the phone up and you dialed 20 realtors every single day, 5 days a week, you would talk to 5,200 real estate agents a year.
You can't help but be successful if you talk to 5,000.
If you talk to 5,200 real estate agents a year, you're going to be successful. Like, there's just no way. 20 calls a day is 100 calls a week at 52 weeks a year. That's 5,200 connections you would make. And I'm just done with the excuses on it. Like, if you're happy doing 1 loan a month and that meets your family's needs and you're satisfied with where you're at and you don't want to grow, I'm not talking to you, because I'd rather have you happy. And if you're comfortable and that's where you want to be, awesome. But if you're sitting there complaining and griping that you're not getting business and this and that, and this business is so hard and I'm so busy, bullshit, you're not, bullcrap, you're not that busy. You're not that busy. Get out there and pick your phone up. If you have fear of the phones, get over it. Guess the fastest way to get over fear of video and fear of phones is by picking up the phone and making a phone call or doing a video. So that's how you get over the fear of it. So get out there and actually start pounding the pavement. And that's how you build this business. It's not done waiting for your phone to ring.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes into here at UMortgage, we're starting our internal level up coaching program soon. And, it's rolling out as we speak. And it's funny. It requires every loan officer in the company to spend 1 hour every other Wednesday on a call with their coaches. And, it's not hardcore. We're going to, hold you to 50 calls a day and all that. But the funny part of it is I've had numerous people reach out to me and say, I don't really want to do that. I don't need that. And almost every one of them are not our better producers. All the ones that have reached out to me and said, oh my God, this is fantastic, I love it, they're the people that are either already producing well, or they're the people that I've watched that have grown into the 7 months I've been here. They're the people that I've watched go from 1 to 2 to 3 loans already a month, and they're on the right path. Now, that being said, I did have a conversation yesterday with somebody that said, I'm closing 2 or 3 loans a month, and I'm a single parent, and I just don't want to commit that much time. I don't really care. Just like you said, I don't care if I get any better from here. I'm happy with the money I'm making. I really value the time I have with my children. And maybe later, as the kids get a little bit older, I'll be more inclined to want to do 10 or 20 loans a month. I have no problem with that person. I mean, in fact, the funny thing is, after we had the conversation, this person agreed to give the coaching a try for the first 90 days anyway, because we talked about the time commitments. And at the end, the person was like, oh, well, I could do that. And maybe it would pick me up an extra loan or so without having to really sacrifice my time for my kids. But again, you're right. It's the ones that are always blaming everything. The rates are too high. Better.com or Trigger Leads or whatever is out there eating my lunch. And making excuses for why they're only doing 1 or 2 loans a month, instead of just saying, what can I do to get better? Which is the attitudes you should have,
Right. I mean, it's just simple math, guys. If Trigger Leads are eating your lunch, and Trigger Leads suck, don't get me wrong. Okay. So if you're losing 50% of your business to Trigger Leads, which shouldn't happen, but let's say you're losing 50% of it. If you're closing 2 loans a month, that means you're losing 2 loans. What if you generate enough business that you're getting in 15 loans a month and you're closing 7 now? You're still losing half the Trigger Leads. That situation isn't changing because we don't have the way to change Trigger Leads. But volume seems to cure all the problems.
Oh, yeah.
Like just getting out there and creating more. Yeah, you're going to lose more if your situation doesn't change, if you don't become a better salesman, whatever that scenario is. But the easiest way to just simply get out there and do it is just simply put more effort in and get more deals in, get more pre-approvals, have more conversations. I mean, the whole coaching thing, like I don't produce anymore. And so I got added to this coaching thing. And my initial gut reaction was like, yeah, this most certainly isn't for me. I'm not producing. But then I sat back and I thought on it and I'm like, no, like this is actually perfect for me. So even me, who's not going to be a producing loan officer, I'm building a team, I'm building a branch, I'm helping people build their production. But I started to think about it. I'm like, what little nuggets of information could I glean? Yes, every one of my loan officers on my team is going to be in a coaching setup, but they're not going to be in mine.
Yeah.
And I may be able to get nuggets of information out of mine that I can then further the growth of my team because they would have never had access to it. So I'm super pumped about it. Even though I'm not going to be out there, slinging loans myself, I want to get better at what I do as a career every day. And even if I'm not the one producing it, if I can gain the knowledge and pass the knowledge down, let's go.
And not only that, but the other 3 people in your coaching pod, they're going to get valuable information from you, So it's again, we talk a lot at UMortgage about crowdsourcing, and it's one of our greatest strengths as a company, the workplace chats and all that, where somebody can go in and just disseminate a bit of knowledge that others pick up on, and it makes them better. So this is the same thing with the coaching. They're going to be in groups of 4 or 5. And again, you're right, Andrew. I mean, you're not producing more, but you'll pick something up or you'll give something in return, and it's going to make people better in the company, which is what we're all about. And it's funny. I had one person ask me, they said, it doesn't look like you or Andrew's coaches. I'm like, well, me and Andrew aren't producing anymore. We want our coaches in our Level Up coaching program are producing LOs, managers. They're people that have already shown the ability and consistently show the ability to close a good number of loans and manage your pipelines. And they have some coaching experience already. And for me to go in there as a coach would be laughable because I haven't closed a loan in 7 or 8 months, not that the business has passed me by, but I can't get in there and tell them what to do when I'm not doing it myself.
Agreed 100%. They actually, they reached out and asked me if I would be a coach. And I politely declined it. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit because I would love to do that. But at the same time, I'm not going to agree to something that I don't have the schedule availability to do.
Yes.
And so again, comes back to your personal accountability. At some points in this business, you have to say no to things, even though it may be something that may be good. It may be something you want to do. If you're closing, like if you're closing 20 deals a month and you're traveling a ton, it might not be the right thing for you, because the last thing, and I told them when they asked me, I said, the last thing you want is me to say, yes, right now, let's go. And then every other coaching call I'm having to reschedule because I'm traveling to here and I'm visiting here and I'm doing this. I'd rather just tell you straight up front, that time commitment just isn't going to work for me. And you got to learn to say no sometimes in this business. Say no to clients. If you've got a bunch of business coming in and you get that client that's got 13 self-employed businesses with a 618 credit score, and you're going to spend 4 days of your life on it, it might be a situation where you say, hey, I'm not the best loan officer to handle this situation. Let me find someone that is. There's points in this business you have to learn to say no. Otherwise, you'll just be run over.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's why I never let myself get in the weeds with really, really difficult loans, because I know I didn't have the capacity to do them and then service my loans that I was working on. So, I'd always pass those off to another loan officer that had more capacity to take care of that client on a better level. I mean, I never wanted to give a bad experience to a client because I didn't have enough time. And same reason why we always have guest hosts on here. I mean, it's like last week, Nicole was on here with you because I was sitting at airport in Detroit at that time. I was watching you guys, or trying to, and I was getting a bad Wi-Fi signal. So I was getting like every other word, but I still, it was great to watch the interview process that she did, which I thought was awesome. And we might do it with Nicole and me one day. So
Yeah, it was a blast.
I just thought of it though. Our name for our thing here, 100 Million Producers. I mean, we're probably going to have to change that to was $100 million producers.
Former producers.
Former $100 million producers. Yeah. And but no, it is accountability is everything, and I couldn't agree more with that subject matter. So what else we got today?
I would I guess I would like to touch, you briefly mentioned it, the internal video you sent, the content of that video, locking your loans. If you're a loan officer and you're watching this, be really cautious floating interest rates. It's the fastest way for you to ruin a reputation. It's the fastest way to ruin a relationship with a real estate agent. And it's a tough conversation to have, especially if you're in a model in the mortgage industry that has higher interest rates. A lot of times I remember being in that model and we would just send the disclosures out, and that 24-hour waiting period to see if they got signed or if you got a phone call screaming at you about the rate was like this high anxiety moment. And if you're in that situation, you want to have the least amount of conversations about interest rate as you can. You just want the deal to flow. That being said, don't ever be the person that gambles with your borrower's money. It will bite you in the rear end, and it will bite you hard, and you'll lose relationships. You'll get 1-star reviews. You'll lose clients. And it never, ever, ever pans out the right way. To me, if I'm going to gamble on a rate lock, that client is going to be well aware of what I'm doing, and it's going to be at their direction, not mine. I'm not going to be the one that says, hey, the market is going to get better, because we don't know that. Today, we were 45 basis points worse for no reason whatsoever. Now it's back to 27 basis points. But that's still significantly worse. And the reality is no one actually has the true 100% forecast of what's going to happen, or we would simply be investors. We would not be originators. If you knew what the markets were going to do with guaranteed, then you'd just be an investor. And the reality is, don't gamble with your clients' money. It is one of the worst practices that you can get into, and it's a habit you can form, and it will burn you so bad in this industry.
Well, and what he's referring to is the video that I posted was basically saying, hey, it's May 11th. We finally got past that infamous May 10th date. Now, let me back up on that. You won't find two bigger fans of Barry Habib than the two of us. We both respect the guy, like the guy, listen to him. He is, in my opinion, the king of rate forecasting. But you have to understand when Barry tells you, or any of the guys out there that does that, tells you May 10th is the day that we will start seeing some rate relief. That is not them saying for the next 3 weeks, don't lock a single customer, lock them on May 10th. They're just giving you the advice as to when they foresee the rate market starting to soften a little bit. And it's so funny because if you look around Facebook for the previous week, oh my gosh, so many originators. May 10th, don't lock until May 10th. Everybody was talking about this. And you know what? And this is what was in my video. Yeah, we were up, I think 35 or 36 on May 10th on the MBSs. And then yesterday, I think we ended up with like 14 or something. So overall, we were about 50 basis points better on the MBSs the last 48 hours before today hit. But if you look back over the last week, we lost about that much. So
and then we lost that much today.
And then we lost it. Yeah. So again, when these guys like Barry out there who are smart as a whip about this and very, very respectful and intelligent, and people I watch every single day, I read everything Barry puts out, I read and watch because I massively respect his intelligence on this. But I don't take it as literal when he says May 10th. I don't say, oh, nobody should lock until May 10th, because what he's telling you is that this is the beginning of when we should start seeing some rate relief. That doesn't mean May 11th rates were going to drop to 4%. It means that we probably have seen the top. We're going to see some ups and downs along the way, like today's a bad day. But overall, we are now going to start trending. Will we be at 4% in June or July? I highly, highly doubt it. Will we be at low sixes, high fives? Probably, maybe we get lucky and we're with a 4 handle by August. But I honestly, personally, my belief is that we won't see a conventional rate starting with a 4 until probably the fourth quarter of this year. But
I would agree.
Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong and it's sooner, but I'm not holding out for it. But yeah, I mean, again, gambling with your borrower's money. The other thing I want to talk about too is, and this is what was in the video, you will have those borrowers that'll just plain say, I don't want to lock. Their borrowers are probably Googling and they've read Barry's advice, or they're just people that, for whatever reason, they want to gamble with their own money. That's okay. If they want to gamble with their own money and they tell you they don't want to lock, you got to respect that. But what you do is you then follow that up with an email. And in that email, you put the risk that involve floating and not locking. And you remind them that it was their choice not to lock. Because let me tell you something, I've dealt with this for years. When you get that customer that doesn't want to lock and then rates spike over the next 2 weeks, they're the first ones that come back and say, well, why didn't you tell me to lock? I did. Let me show you where I did. You don't want that conversation solely over the phone. You need it in writing so you can reference it back. And more importantly, blind CC the agent on that email, because agents flip the hell out if they're 2 weeks from closing and that rate's not locked, because they're freaking out. They don't know. For all they know, 0.25% could not qualify that customer anymore. So you got to keep your agents in the loop. I usually blind CC them because the borrowers doesn't need to see me ratting on them to the agent. But I want my agents to know, hey, Mr. Smith chose not to lock. And then I will usually follow it up to the agent, in a text or a separate email saying, hey, don't worry, rates could go up to 2% more and Mr. Smith still qualifies. And I have advised him, keep your agents in the loop, because I have had many agents flip out when they didn't find a customer was locked. And we're talking like a day after a contract. I'm like, hey, whoa, slow down. Give me time, but always keep your agents in the loop on that, because it can be a real problem. But more importantly, put it in writing so you don't get that phone call 2 weeks later saying, you didn't tell me to lock. And you'll have a much better experience.
Yeah, it's all about professionalism. If your client doesn't know that they are not locked and you're betting on the market with their money,
you should be out of the business.
You should be out of the business. It's a really dangerous game to play. I've seen people play it. I've seen them lose, and I've seen them lose bad. I've seen clients file legal action over it because the rates went up 1.5% in March of 2020. They were no longer qualified for their home. They lost a $35,000 binder deposit. It's going to get ugly if something happens. And here's the reality. I agree. Barry is the smartest guy out there, hands down. I mean, he's the only guy that's won the Crystal Ball Award from Zillow and Pulsenomics 3 times. He is the best in housing data forecasting. But there's something he can't forecast that no one can. Let's say China invades Taiwan tomorrow. You wake up and interest rates are 1.5% worse. Well, all those clients you floated, now you got to have a really tough conversation with them if they didn't know they were floating. Yes, we do trust Barry on the overall trend, but Barry's the first one to say it. Nothing moves up or down in a straight line. There's good days and bad days.
No.
And then there's outside influence of wars. You could have a massive fire that destroys food supply, that anything can happen. So don't gamble on it. Just be a good steward of your clients' information, of their money, of their finances, and you're going to find yourself getting a lot further.
Not only that, forget the extremes of like wars and stuff like that. We have, I can't remember how many voting, or it doesn't even matter if they're voting members. There's a bunch of different Fed presidents out there, right? Jerome Powell being the chairman. They love to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And you never know what the hell's going to come out of their mouth. I mean, what was it just the other day? One of them came out and said, I see no reason that we would need to even think about cutting rates this year, you know? And then
the market just instantly changed.
Yeah. So those are the things that Barry can be the smartest guy in the world, but you don't know what's going through the mind of a Jerome Powell or a James Bullard or some of the other Fed presidents.
Loretta Mester.
Yeah. That will just pop on the CNBC, Fox Business, or in a speech in front of the Goldman Sachs traders one day, pop off, and then it's next thing you know, it's on CNBC. You know, I mean, that's the variable, and that happens every single week, multiple times a week. Those Fed presidents are out there talking, and you never know, and their words are parsed down to every syllable practically by the market.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah. So again, takeaway from today: lock them if you got them, as I called it yesterday on my video. You know, never ever float if the customer doesn't know you're floating, and if the customer didn't want you to float. You know, I would not advise customers to not lock. You know, if you're a broker watching this, you know, one of the beauties of being a broker, and I don't advise this because it's terrible policy, but if you do lock them, and 2 weeks later the market just tanks, rates go way down, as a broker, you can always relock that at a different lender. Now, that's not the best practice because it's bad for our lender partners, but our lender partners factor in some of that happening.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It's an option.
Yeah. If it's between you and the customer parting ways and them going somewhere else, you have to do what's best for the customer. But you have that option, you know. But yeah, just the takeaway from today is lock them if you got them.
Yeah. And then answer your damn phones. Get out there. It is Friday. We're out of time here, but get out there. It's Friday. Hit up all your real estate agent partners. Hit up everyone that you work with. Let them know I'm working the weekend. You got questions. We've got answers. Drop some tidbits on them. We got this little social media graphic we created for our team that says the more you know, and it's got the flying rainbow on it. And to me, I get the best reactions with just dropping little tidbits. So drop some nuggets to your agents. Let them know that you're working when they're working. If they need pre-approvals, if they need a client to put an offer in on the weekend, you're available. And answer your dang phone as always.
That's it. Have a great week, guys.
Peace out, guys.
See you.